Thank you for listening to this chapter. For advance releases of upcoming chapters, you can join me on Patreon. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more chapters, and kindly support this channel on Ko-fi. The link is in the description below. A Lady's Tranquility. Story of Kunning Palace. Author, Shi Jing. Chapter 72, Past Events. Jiang Boryol had been waiting in the study for a while. He had already heard what happened in the palace a few days ago, but in the end, everything turned out well. The emperor gave Jiang Suining a lot of rewards, and even gave a lot of rewards to her family, so as a father he could only thank the emperor for his kindness, and did not dare to ask any more questions. But thinking about it, the Marquis of Yongyi was detained at his mansion, and the Ning girl was framed in the palace right after. How could it be that simple? Jiang Boryol was over 40 years old, although he was lucky enough to be promoted to the vice minister of the Ministry of Revenue. However, looking back, it was only because he had helped Shi Wei enter the capital, which had contributed to the current emperor's ascension to the throne. He could barely be considered to have some merit in supporting the emperor, which was why he was still managing decently in the court. But he really had no intention of becoming a high-ranking official. It was already extremely dangerous to reach this position. Going further up was full of intrigue, life and death, and huge entanglement. Very few people could retire after achieving success. Most of them enjoyed wealth and glory, but they would suffer disasters overnight. Just like the Yongyi Marquis mansion today. Alas. Jiang Boryol looked at the Zuo Zhuan, the commentary of Zuo, in front of him, unable to turn another page, and let out a long sigh. The old butler lifted the curtain and came in to report, "Master, the second young lady is back." Then he stepped aside. Jiang Suining got off the carriage and went straight to Jiang Boryol's study. At this moment, she walked in from the door with her head slightly lowered and bowed to Jiang Boryol, who was sitting behind the desk. Daughter greets father and pays her respects to father. Ning girl was raised in the mansion and had always been very naughty. Before entering the palace, she seemed to have grown up and become more stable. However, Jiang Boryol always felt worried when he thought about the things in the palace. Now seeing her standing peacefully in front of him, he felt a strange sorrow. He stood up from his seat, walked over and put his hand on her shoulder, looked her up and down carefully for a while, then nodded and said, Okay, sit down and let's talk." There was a heated kang in the study, with brocade cushions and pillows. Jiang Boryol sat at the head. A maidservant in the room brought a brocade stool and placed it at the lower seat. Jiang Suining sat down, sized up Jiang Boryol's expression, and said, "Tangyer mentioned that father specifically waited at home for me. I wonder what's the matter." Her face was calm, without the rebellious and defiant look she used to have when she would glare at people. After entering the palace, she seemed to have gained the demeanor of a well-bred lady, far beyond what she had before. But there was an inexplicable sense of oppression emanating from her. Jiang Boryol always hoped that she could be as sensible and polite as Shi Wei. Now, when he thought back to that arrogant and domineering little girl, he actually felt that it would be nice if she could always be like that. He laughed at himself, and thinking of what he was about to say, he found it difficult to speak for a moment. After a while, he lowered his head and said, "Father has heard about what happened to you in the palace. You should have heard about what happened in the Yongyi Marquis' mansion outside, too, right?" Jiang Suining nodded. Jiang Boryol said, "A major incident happened in the palace a few days ago. The jade Ruyi presented to the Empress Dowager by the Ministry of Internal Affairs was engraved with rebellious words. These words were originally the slogan of the heavenly religion, acting on heaven's will. No matter how much they investigated, it would have been fine if they had traced it to the remnants of the Prince of Pingnan's party. But somehow, the Yongyi Marquis' mansion was implicated. It was suspected that the Yongyi Marquis' mansion was in collusion with the Prince of Pingnan's party, and even with the heavenly sect. It was even said that they had obtained the letters between the Yongyi Marquis' mansion and them. Although the facts have not been clarified yet, the court has surrounded the Marquis' mansion to prevent it from escaping or causing chaos, and will be convicting them once the truth is revealed. I think it's more bad news than good. Letters. Even though she had been prepared, when she heard more concrete details from Jiang Boyo, Jiang Suning still felt the weight of fate pressing down on her. It was like this in her previous life. The reason why the Yongyi Marquis' mansion was convicted was because the court had indeed discovered that the Marquis' mansion had connections and dealings with the Prince of Pingnan's rebel party and had possession of their correspondence. But this was also the most confusing thing in her previous life. Jiang Suning looked at Jiang Boryol. It is said that the Prince of Pinnan's party has run out of luck, not to mention that the Prince of Pinnan himself is dead. The rebel party now is just a group of loose sand, not even as good as the heavenly sect. The Yongyi Marquis' mansion holds 1/3 of the military power in the country. 20 years ago, it led the army together with the Duke of Ding's mansion to repel the rebels of the Prince of Pingnan and the heavenly sect, and lifted the siege on the capital. It is said to be an irreconcilable feud, so how could it still be in contact with the rebel party after so many years? Sure enough, even you think it's unreasonable, right? Jiang Boryo smiled bitterly. But it is precisely because of this that it seems so real. It's really pitiful how pitiful parents are. Jiang Shunin was stunned. She didn't understand why Jiang Boryo said that. Seeing her confusion, Jiang Boryo slowly said, "This disaster all stems from the tragic incident of the 300 righteous children 20 years ago. Over the years, although the three families have never publicized it, as if this incident had never happened, but now that the undercurrent has surged, we know that no one has forgotten it. Especially the Yongyi Marquis' mansion, they are even more resentful about it." This was the story that Jiang Suning knew. However, compared with what Fang Miao said in Yanzhizai, Jiang Boryol's story contained some inside information that Fang Miao was not aware of. Or perhaps it was still just the tip of the iceberg. The Shao family once formed an alliance with the Yan family. At that time, Empress Dowager Shao was the empress in the palace. Shao Yuan inherited the title and became the Duke of Dingguo. With the help of Empress Dowager Shao, he married Lady Yan, the elder sister of the Marquis of Yongyi. Soon, she gave birth to a son named Ding Fei, who was granted the title of heir apparent at an early age. The royal family, the Shao family, and the Yan family were thus connected as one. When the Prince of Pingnan and the Heavenly Sect rebels led their army to attack the capital, Lady Yan was attending a banquet in the palace with the Empress and the Crown Prince, who are now Empress Dowager Shao and the current Emperor. Jiang Shuning immediately noticed something different. "But I heard that the Emperor hid in the palace and escaped the disaster. But the heir apparent was captured by the Heavenly Sect and the Prince of Pingnan rebels because he was about the same age as His Majesty, who was still a crown prince at the time, and became one of the 300 righteous children. If the young heir was in the palace at that time, how could he have been captured? And if he had been captured, how did the crown prince manage to escape unscathed?" Jiang Boryol was also in the capital at that time. Although he was just a small scholar, he had witnessed this incident personally. As for the many rumors about the 300 righteous children in the world today, he just laughed it off. After the laughter, there was always a sigh. He sighed and said, "The rebels had captured 300 children but still hadn't found the crown prince, so they issued an announcement to the entire capital, threatening to kill these 300 children, unless the royal family handed over the crown prince. Although the world has always been a place where the emperor was supreme and the ministers were inferior, and the people worshipped the emperor, how could the parents of these children sit idly by and watch their own flesh and blood die? The capital had been breached, the royal family was about to fall, and the city was full of rumors. Even the royal family had to think about the people's hearts. However, the crown prince was of royal blood, a descendant of the royal family, and the future emperor. How could he fall into the hands of the rebels for the sake of just 300 civilian children? Jiang Xuanning's heart suddenly skipped a beat. Jiang Boryo laughed inexplicably and said, "At that time, the heir apparent was the only one in the palace who was of similar age to His Royal Highness the Crown Prince. He was also familiar with palace affairs, and had perfect etiquette and manners. Later, when the siege of the capital was lifted, the survivors in the palace all said that although the heir apparent Ding Fei was young, he had the righteousness of family, country, and his loyalty to the emperor in his heart. For the safety of the crown prince, and the lives of 300 children, he stepped forward, pretended to be the crown prince, and surrendered his head to the traitors. But no one expected that the rebels were so inhumane. After capturing the hostage, they did not let the children go as promised. Instead, they slaughtered all the people before the reinforcements arrived, leaving no one alive. The tragic scene of that year was still vivid in his mind. Jiang Boryo shook his head. The young heir from that time most likely perished as well. But since the incident occurred in the winter, by the time they could dig the bodies out of the ice, they were already unrecognizable. Thus, Madame Yan held onto a sliver of hope, believing that her child was not among the dead. She was determined to find him, even if it meant severing ties with the Shao family. She eventually divorced and returned to the Yongyi Marquise mansion. Although she passed away from illness within 2 years, the Yongyi Marquise mansion has been secretly searching for the whereabouts of the young heir in accordance with her will all these years. Jiang Xuning felt a chill in her heart as she listened, and vaguely understood, but said, "You mean, the reason the Yongyi Marquise residence was found to have correspondence with the Prince of Pingnan's rebels is because they were still searching for the young heir. And the ones who knew the most about these events back then, aside from the Heavenly Sect, were the Prince of Pingnan's party." Jiang Boryo nodded. "This matter is also a cause of concern for the royal family and the Zhao family. The young heir back then was only 6 or 7 years old. The idea that though young, he had the righteousness of family, country, and his loyalty to the emperor in his heart, and stepped forward bravely, was something told to the common people." Jiang Boryo, having been in the official circles for many years, didn't believe such lofty words. Jiang Xunin recalled all the clues from her previous life. It turned out that the correspondence with the Prince of Pingnan's rebel party was to find the young heir Ding Fei, who might have long ceased to exist. She felt confused. So the difficulty of the Marquis Yongyi's mansion is unsolvable? Jiang Boryo knew that she and Yanlin could be considered childhood sweethearts, and that she must be deeply affected. But their family was really insignificant compared to the big family that could shake the entire court with a stomp of their feet. He was silent for a long time before he said with guilt, "It's your father's incompetence. A few months ago, the Marquis also mentioned the matter of your marriage with Yanlin, saying that they would prepare as soon as the boy's coming-of-age ceremony was over. Although the young Marquis always climbs over the wall of our house, and I often scold him, I actually admire his youthful spirit and his talent in both literature and martial arts. He is different from those spoiled youths in the capital, and I am very satisfied with him. Unfortunately, fate plays tricks on us. It's a blessing that our Jiang family is not implicated. I can't bear to do anything to add insult to injury, but I'm afraid that offering help in their time of need might only bring trouble upon us." This meant that her marriage with Yanlin was not going to work out. Jiang Boryo probably felt that she and Yanlin had a deep friendship. If he didn't tell her the news in advance, he was afraid that she would suddenly find out and do something irrational and shocking. Jiang Xuning was extremely calm after hearing this. It was as expected after all. And since the first day she was reborn, she has been thinking about how to face this obstacle. Now that it had finally arrived, she felt a strange numbness instead. The previous anxiety was gone, and her heart was as clear as a lake. The study was quiet. Jiang Boryo just looked at her with worried eyes. Jiang Xuning sat quietly for a long time, then slowly stood up and bowed to Jiang Boryo again. Now the Yongyi Marquis mansion is in danger, and I know that my father is unable to turn the tide. But the Marquis mansion has done a favor to the Jiang mansion, and Yanlin has done a favor to me, so today Suanin has an unreasonable request. Jiang Boyo had never seen her so serious and was stunned. Jiang Suanin calmly stated her plan. In the past, young Marquis Yan gave me many valuable things. If the Marquis mansion encounters misfortune, all the property will be confiscated. What can be done in the court without money? Even if they are convicted and their family exiled, they will still need money. Your daughter wants to sell the old things, but I am afraid that the prices will drop in this urgent situation, and I am even more afraid that the mansion will be implicated in these troubled times, so I would like to ask my father for help. Indeed, there were no warning signs of disaster in the Marquis Yongyi's mansion. Now that a large army had surrounded the mansion and they were all under house arrest, there was no difference. Even with such a huge amount of family wealth, there was nowhere to go. If they were convicted with one final decision, the confiscation of their property was the lightest punishment. Jiang Boyo always knew that Yanlin was completely devoted to the Ning girl, and he thought that the Ning girl was indifferent, but he never thought that she still remembered the kindness of others and was willing to repay it. There were tears in his eyes, and he was about to agree, but he changed his mind and couldn't help feeling worried. But now the situation is critical. No one in the court or the public dares to speak for the Marquis mansion. Even if we prepare the money, who would we bribe, and who would dare to help the Marquis' residents? Jiang Suning closed her eyes slightly and said, "Father, don't worry, your daughter can take care of the rest." Sometimes, although he was afraid of raising a tiger that may cause harm, he had no choice but to feed it when necessary. The Yongyi Marquis mansion, which was once bustling with people, was now surrounded by heavy troops, and not even a bird dared to stay on the steps. The carved beams and painted buildings all looked desolate and cold. Many years of prosperity seemed to have become a dream. Everyone was in a panic, not knowing when the hanging butcher's knife would fall on their necks. Marquis Yanmu was lying on the bed, his face pale and coughing constantly. Yanlin sat in front of his window holding a bowl of medicine and laughed at him. "I told you not to drink when it was raining a few days ago, but you didn't listen and even dragged me into it. Now you have a cold and a headache. Do you finally admit you were wrong?" Yanmu was grimaced. "This medicine is bitter." Tingfong, who was serving Yanlin, just came in. He looked up at him, lowered his voice and asked, "Marquis, young master." The invitations prepared by Ling Yun Pavilion a month ago for the young master's coming-of-age ceremony have been delivered. The butler is checking with the soldiers in front of the mansion gate, and he sent his subordinates back to ask, "These invitations, do you still want them? Should they be sent out?" Yanmu glanced at Yanlin. Yanlin paused the wooden spoon that was stirring the medicine in the bowl, without even raising his eyelids, and said, "Of course they should be sent. Why wouldn't we send them?" Yanmu sighed and said, "In the current state of the Marquis' mansion, even if we send out invitations, how many people dare to come? Why bother?" Yanlin was unmoved, his face was very calm. "You can't see people's hearts without encountering danger. Now that God has given us the opportunity to see clearly, why should I and my father let him down?" Yanmu was stunned. Yanlin said to Tingfong, "Go and report to the housekeeper." Tingfong looked at his own master in surprise, as if he didn't expect him to say such a thing. It took him a long while to react, and he bowed and walked out. Yanlin served Yanmu medicine. Yanmu was silent for a long time. After he finished drinking the medicine, he leaned on the pillow Yanlin had propped up, blinked, and spoke with some difficulty. "Dripping water wears away a stone, and gathering of sand makes a tower. 23 years of learning the zither. Did Master She really say that to you?" Yanlin stared at the empty medicine bowl and said, "Yes." Yanmu suddenly laughed, and tears slowly flowed from the corners of his wrinkled eyes. Thank you for listening to this chapter. For advance releases of upcoming chapters, you can join me on Patreon. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more chapters. And kindly support this channel on Ko-fi. The link is in the description below.